Let's take a little tour of campus. Here's the PE shelter. You know that this is part of our playground. Here's our turf and the rest of our playground. Now let's go inside of Miss Vieira's room, looking nice and clean. Miss Stein's room is looking nice and clean for art. You know what this is? It's the hallway right outside of art and Spanish. Our food forest has really grown a lot. We need some kids to come back and help us out in the food forest. Look at all those plants. Here's our wonderful library, headed by Miss McCarthy. Nice and clean. Mr. Andre and Mr. Jason have been working very hard to clean our school. Everything looks great. We just need kids now. Let's move on and take a look at our cafeteria. Floors are nice and clean, tables are up. Our beautiful cafeteria. And look at Miss Downey's room, nice and clean. I took a sneak peek at some first grade rooms too. Here's Miss Beringer's room. Miss Perkins's first grade classroom looks nice and clean. And Miss Marchese's room looks nice and clean. Good afternoon, manatees. It's me, Mr. Erickson, and today I'd like to take an opportunity to continue to answer some of the questions that our parents have sent in this week. Some excellent questions about the upcoming school year. So let's start with remote teaching and brick and mortar teaching. So number one, please remember that whatever teacher your child has for remote learning or brick and mortar learning is the teacher they have throughout the whole school year. For example, if Mr. Erickson is a fourth grade teacher and I'm your child's remote learning teacher, when you come back to school, I will still be your child's teacher. We want kids to have the consistency of the same teacher the entire school year. If your child, another question that came in, another excellent question, if your child has an EP, an educational plan, or an IEP, an individualized education plan, what happens to my kids? Okay, so again, let's use myself as an example. If I'm your child's fourth grade teacher and I have my gifted certification, I can meet the needs of EPs because I'm gifted certified. I can meet the programming needs of your child by giving enhancements, extensions, creative projects, etc. If I'm your child's teacher and your child has an IEP, there may be another teacher on campus who has ESE experience who may be doing some push-in work, whether it's a Zoom meeting, small group meeting, and then when the child comes back to school, it might be push-in groups or pull-out groups for ESE learning. So again, kids will have the same teacher the entire school year. So what I'm going to do next week is I meet with each of the grade level teams to look at class lists to see who is starting the year remotely and who is coming back brick and mortar. And I talk to the teacher teams to find out who is doing the remote teaching and who is doing brick and mortar. So we're going to be doing some class list shuffling. We worked on class lists in June quite a bit, and we're going to be doing some shuffling so that we can meet those remote needs. If your family has, if they want to change their mind with what they selected from remote and brick and mortar, I'm going to send that survey out again today with the window closing on Wednesday if your family is changing from remote to brick and mortar or from brick and mortar to remote. The county is asking that remote families commit to 9 weeks of learning. Now again, that's as a school, we can interpret that how we want to. I think what the county doesn't want is kids kind of coming and going or out 2 days back in to brick and mortar, for the teacher's sake, for the classroom's sake. So they're asking for a commitment. But again, we're going to work with you on a case-by-case basis if you're remotely and when you want to come back and when is a good time to come back. So that's remote and that's brick and mortar. Let me look at some of these other questions here. So, Mr. Erickson, what will the format of the remote learning day look like? Will kids be on Zoom for 7 or 8 hours a day? Is there flexibility in the schedule for them? When will the schedule for remote and other key details of that type of learning be made available? Excellent question. The remote daily learning schedule is still being formed. More to come on that. Here's what I know now. The kids would log in to Zoom at the beginning of the day. They'd take part and watch the Bayhaven morning news, as they always have. During the reading and math blocks, kids would be able to watch the teacher, listen to the kids in the classroom. Remote kids can raise their hands and participate, and they're going to see the teacher, and they're also going to see anything the teacher would like to share. Maybe it's a book, maybe it's a fraction model, maybe it's the globe. So the child at home will still see everything the teacher sees and what the kids in the classroom see. We will make sure to get supplies to those remote learners before the school year begins. Maybe it's chapter books, maybe it's math manipulatives, maybe it's science equipment. We're going to try to give you everything you need to be successful at home. In addition, the remote learners will still have to get their school supplies and have those at home and use those. And then when you come back to school, you can just bring your school supplies with you. Okay, so looking at other questions here. So again, more with remote learning. Once you in probably about 2 weeks, you'll be getting a message from me about who your teacher is for the upcoming school year. I know that's a big deal, but we are doing some switches based on feedback from families about remote and brick and mortar teaching. So once you find out who your teacher is for the upcoming school year, if you are remote, you'll be getting extra communication from that teacher saying, besides the normal school supplies, here's what else your child may need at home. It could be headphones, a few different things, especially for the remote learners, and also a detailed schedule of what that day looks like from those remote teachers. All right, so a question came in about masks from a parent. Mr. Erickson, what are the guidelines for masks? Our family is being asked to send children to school with a fresh, clean mask each day. What type of masks are being provided for families who do not have access to them? So right now, the school board is calling these masks face coverings, which could mean a gaiter, like you saw me demonstrate last week, or a face mask. Each school will be receiving many extra masks and face coverings. So if a child or staff member needs a new one or they forgot it at home, we will always furnish a child or a staff member with a new clean mask if they need one. On Tuesday, August 4th, our school board meets again to revisit face coverings, school start times, remote learning, many topics. So more to come. I know we're kind of in a holding pattern with a lot of information, but I just want to be able to communicate to you everything I know at this time. But again, on August 4th, the school board meets again to discuss many of these issues. All right, I'm just kind of looking at my questions here. So if we move to Meet the Teacher, which I know is each year really exciting. It will look different this year. As I shared with some families last week, the Meet the Teacher live event is for kindergarten families. That's Friday, August 28th at 9:15 for students who have the last name A through M. And then at 11 o'clock for new kindergartners with students' last names that begin with N through Z. So what about everyone else, Mr. Erickson? So first through fifth graders, we are planning what a virtual Meet the Teacher can look like. And also we're looking into possibly a supply drop-off with a meet and greet. If you checked out a computer from us last spring, you kind of know what that looks like, where we could have the teachers outside collecting supplies like welcome to Mr. Erickson's classroom, wave to the teacher, and then we get all your supplies that we can put in the classroom. So that's still in the works. I'll have more information for you next week about what that might look like for our first through fifth graders. All right, so arrival and dismissal at Bayhaven. Many of you have seen what it looked like in the past. This upcoming school year, it'll look a little bit different. We're expanding the number of doors that we have open in the morning at arrival. So for example, we'll have our kids in before care who will come on the normal way. Our bus students will come onto campus the normal way. If you are in car line, we have 3 different doors with staff members that you can enter in. So we'll have a bigger car line this year because we don't have walk-up, but we'll have many staff members at 3 different doors out front, welcoming you to school and helping you find your classroom. Kindergarten teachers and kindergartners in particular will each have a color that they coordinate with. For example, if Miss Nasby, if she happens to be purple, all of her students will have purple lanyards. Miss Nasby will be dressed in purple, and Miss Nasby's helper will be outside with a purple lanyard. So we can help, especially our kindergartners, know exactly where to go. And again, we'll have lots of staff members on campus helping our kids learn where their classrooms are. And you'll see additional follow-up videos from me about our buildings, our rooms, and how we get around campus. So more to come on that. All right, what else do I have in store today? Dismissal. I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Our car line will now be located in the media center. So car line kids only. We'll have additional gates for car line. And again, our hope is to have it go smoothly and as quickly as possible. Our childcare will be having after-school snack and then starting off childcare in the cafeteria. So in the cafeteria, it'll be childcare only. And then buses, we'll use the same procedure we used last year where we have patrollers helping to walk the kids to the correct bus. So dismissal is fairly similar. We will be staggering our dismissal a little bit this year so that we'll most likely have our younger students leaving or getting ready to leave about 5 or 10 minutes early. And then closer to 4:05, we'll have our older students starting to get ready. But for the most part, very similar, just with a longer car line. All right, manatees. Now you're seeing a picture of my 3 kids, Peyton, Cooper, and Bennett. And many of your parents have emailed asking, well, Mr. Erickson, what are you doing with your kids this fall? Well, I would like to share with you in full transparency, all 3 are going back to brick and mortar school. Peyton is going into 9th grade at Sarasota High School. Cooper is going into 7th grade at McIntosh Middle School, and Bennett is going into 5th grade at Tatum Ridge. So we plan on doing brick and mortar for all 3. And again, I just wanted to be transparent with you. That's what my wife and I are planning for our 3 children. All right, manatees. Well, your parents will also receive an email from me with many of these same points and also a survey at the bottom if they are changing between remote and brick and mortar. So with that, I hope your family has a wonderful weekend, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye-bye.